Hey there, let's talk about the changes in matter. So there are two types in changes in matter, which are the physical and chemical change. So let's talk first about the physical change. So physical change means a physical change is any change in size, shape, or state of matter. It is also a reversible change, or sometimes it is a reversible. So an example of physical changes, like folding a paper is a physical change. As you can see in the image, the paper is folded, and then you can transfer it back or reverse it back to the way what it was. Or a paper can be folded or unfolded, and hence it is an example of physical change. Moreover, no new substance is formed in this process, so it is a physical change. Next example is mixing water and food coloring. As you can see in the picture, the first is clear water and then mixed with a blue coloring, so it changes the appearance but it doesn't react. So it is an example of physical change. So if the colorant is ionic and reacts with water, forming a chemical solution, then the change is chemical. If the colorant does not react with water, remaining its original composition, then it is a physical change. So that's why we call it a physical change, because it doesn't react. There is no chemical reaction when we pour the blue coloring or put blue coloring in the water. The next example is the boiling water. As you can see, the first picture is just a water in the basin or in the basin, and then here is it's boiling. As you can see, it bubbles, many bubbles. So why is it a physical change? Because boiling water is an example of a physical change and not a chemical change, because the water vapor still has the same molecular structure as liquid water H2O. And the next example is cutting hair. For example, before my hair was very long, and my current hair now is very short because I cut it. So it is a physical change. Why? Because cutting hair is a physical change, because the hair has the same properties as the original. And the last example for physical change is the putting a makeup in your face or where you look. So as you can see in my first picture, there is no makeup, and the second I have makeup. So why? Putting a makeup is a physical change because it only changes only the appearance of my face. It is still my face. And also the makeup can be removed and it can also be put back. That's why putting a makeup is a physical change. So that is physical change. A reversible, or sometimes a irreversible, or there is no chemical reaction. So let's talk about the chemical change now. So chemical change happens when one chemical substances is transformed into one or more different substances. It is also a reversible change. It is the opposite of physical change. So examples of chemical change. First is when we bake a cake. So this is my first picture. This is the first picture because I bought this in the Robinson. After, when I went home, I made it like this, a heart cake. As you can see, it changes. It has also a physical property, but the whole process is a chemical change. Why? Because when you bake a cake, the ingredients go through a chemical change. The chemical change occurs when the molecules that compose two or more substances are rearranged to form new substances. So when you start by baking, you have a mixture of ingredients. The cake needed the heat from the oven in order to transform. That is why baking a cake is a chemical change. Next example is burning a match. So burning a match is a chemical change. Why? Burning a match because it's a chemical change because when a match burns, it undergoes a chemical change. Matches uses sulfur, phosphate, and a friction agent held together by a binding agent. So that's why it's a chemical change. Next example is cooking an egg. So cooking an egg, in the first picture it is still raw, and the second picture is already cooked. Why is it a chemical change? Because when you cook an egg, it is a chemical change because the cooked egg cannot be returned to its uncooked condition or its original condition. The chemical change also cannot be reversed. Anorganic chemical change with or yolk are subjected to high heat. They change into proteins. So that is why it's chemical change. Next example is burning a paper. As you can see, the first picture is still plain and white, and then in the second picture it's already ash, turns into ash. Why is it a chemical property? This is because when we burn a paper, it undergoes a combustion reaction, and during the combustion state of the substance, it changes from its solid state or liquid state to gaseous state. So the burning of paper is considered as a chemical change, as the paper after burning changes into ashes and fumes of gases evolve. So the next example is burning a coal. Burning a coal, as you can see, is the same as burning of paper. The first picture is a coal that hasn't been burned, and then the second picture is already in ash, turned into ash. So the reason why is it a chemical reaction is when the coal is burned, the carbon is converted to carbon dioxide and the hydrogen to water. Each of those reactions produces a slightly different amount of heat. This process cannot be reversed, and hence the burning of coal is a chemical change. And then that's all. Thank you for listening.